Yeah, so today I'm going to be presenting about how to take more original wildlife photos. And yeah, so first a little bit about me. I'm 14 years old in my freshman year of high school, and I've been like really lucky enough to win a couple of photo awards, including Wildlife Photographer of the Year, the Audubon Youth Prize, and two selections in the Audubon Top 100 this year. My favorite animals in our area to photograph are coyotes, foxes, bobcats, raptors, all the predators we have in our area pretty much. And my current camera setup is a Nikon Z8 and a Nikkor 180 to 600. And I recently got this combo before I had a D3500 and a Sigma 150 to 600. And a lot of photos that you see here will be from that old setup. I use DxO Photo Lab to edit my photos. And you can follow me at WildPhotoP on Instagram. I post regularly and I share m most like photo locations. Yeah, unless like my friends have asked me not to share it. So yeah, first off, I want to thank Sridhara for giving me the opportunity to present for all of you. It's really cool to be able to do this, and it's actually an honor because I've never done something like this before, like presenting in front of other photographers. It's really cool, and thank you to everyone here for tuning in today. So yeah, today I'm going to be talking about how to make your photos more original. Whenever I go outside, it's pretty much my goal to take a photo that tells a story that's like somewhat unique at least, not a photo you see every day. And whenever I look at my favorite photos, so I have a list of my favorite photos, and whenever I look at them, I notice several consistencies that like make them what they are. So over this presentation, I'm going to go over the factors that I think make a good original photo. And if there's like one takeaway you come away from this with, I hope it's that to always be on the lookout for special photos and like to not always pursue just an ordinary portrait. So first off, photography is subjective. So not everyone really has the same taste in photos, especially in the more unique ones. uh that have the capability of winning larger photo contests. The truth is that in photo contests like Audubon, the judges are looking for truly original photos that like create a sense of awe in the viewers. So some photos like this burrowing owl portrait I took a couple months ago, they're like objectively good. There's no flaws in them. Everyone thinks they're pretty good at least, but no one actually like is gonna look at them for maybe more than 10 seconds. No one looks at the photo and thinks it tells a story. So yeah, when I saw this owl, I took these two photos. These were taken maybe a couple of minutes apart, but I wanted to take a photo that viewers would be more interested by. So in this case, I ended up zooming out to show more of the habitat. So that's the San Mateo Bridge behind it. And yeah, so this photo is like much more unorthodox, much different than this portrait that you've probably seen like 10 replicas of online. But so some of you probably don't think this photo right here is as good as this one, but these photos are the ones that can win photo contests or maybe be published in magazines because they're much more unique than the simple portrait. So the factors I'm going to be talking about today are lighting, behavior, and the background or foreground, the surroundings of the animal. So I've been looking through lists of like quality bird photos like the Audubon Top 100, and almost all of them contain at least one of the following factors. So first off is lighting. The lighting of a photo can like there's so much variety that you can put in through lighting. It's like a key element in whatever you capture. And the next one is behavior. Behavior is like just it takes a lot of patience, knowledge. Probably the hardest one to capture, not the most creative one, but the most challenging, like physically. is probably going to take a lot more time than the other ones. Yeah. But when you've actually captured it, it feels like you've captured like the essence of the animal or bird you're photographing. And the last one, and the one I want to go like the most into detail about, is the background or foreground of the animal. So the background and foreground, you can like tell a story about the animal's habitat through that. You can zoom out to make the animal small in frame. You can pan to blur it and show the animal like moving. There's a lot of potential there. So here with this red-shouldered hawk in Santa Cruz, I took photos that use all three of these elements, and I think all three of them are pretty interesting in their own like different ways. This first one, you have the backlighting of the sun setting behind the hawk. The second one, it's flying up to its perch with a cricket. And then this last one, you can see the urban habitat of the hawk. And j just to make sure, like these aren't hard rules. These factors, you don't need them to create like a quality photo. There's a lot of other ways to create something interesting, like an interesting crop with this burrowing owl, really cool colors like this hummingbird, or a slow shutter speed like with this turkey in flight. This might be my most creative photo. Yeah. So first off, it's lighting. It's critical to mention that this doesn't include front lighting. Front lighting is something we see in almost all of the photos we see online and the photos you probably take yourselves. Front lighting is like a classic element that that is definitely good to have, but it's not something that can make a photo by itself. So here I'm talking about backlighting, side lighting, and spotlighting, which is basically light being filtered by trees or something else. So here there's side lighting. This is when the sun is at a 90-degree angle between you and the subject, and this can like create a lot of drama in the photo. Backlighting is when the sun's opposite or the subject is between you and the sun. And yeah. So backlighting is probably the easiest form of lighting other than front lighting to master. When I'm out in the field, I'm always like trying to get the sun opposite to my subject. And when I do that, there's a lot of opportunities that arise. Sometimes the background is dark too, which creates like rim lighting, which you see in this shorebird photo and in this fox photo. You can see that there's not much in the photo other than the outline of the animal. And then sometimes the background can be bright, creating a silhouette of the subject. And in either of these scenarios, doesn't really matter. You have the potential for something really cool. So my advice here is to always, no matter how much action is happening, who knows, maybe there's grebes mating, maybe there's kites doing a food exchange. No matter what, you should always be on the lookout for backlighting. And then here we have side lighting. Side lighting is probably the hardest form to photograph. It's like it doesn't always work, to be honest. Like with backlighting, you know there's a pretty good chance the photo you get is really good. With side lighting, it can be more risky, but it also has a lot of potential. So normally when I'm out in the field, I don't really try for side lighting, but if it has to happen, like I'll take it. If there's no opportunity for me to move into a better position, then yeah, I'll take the side lit pictures. And then side lighting can create a lot of drama and definition to the photo. And then when I'm editing side lighting, instead of instead of instead of brightening the shadows, uh, which like we've probably all done, like we've been frustrated with a side lit photo, but instead of that, I try to actually darken the shadows, which creates like a truly side lit photo. It makes the viewer know that this photo was side lit and it adds drama. Like with this coyote photo, you can see before this is pretty good, but here where I darken the shadows, there's more drama, there's just more interest in the photo really. And then same thing with this hawk. I tried to brighten up the shadows before to make it seem more front lit, but instead I darken the shadows, and here we have a more dramatic photo with its eye shining and the rest of its body mostly in the dark. And while the side lighting might not make the photo better in your eyes, it's definitely making it more unique. You're probably gonna have a chance in the future to photograph the same thing, but front lit. So my advice is to just like take the side lighting when you can take it. And then spotlighting. Spotlighting is the rarest type of lighting. The conditions really need to be perfect for this to happen because the sun needs to be shining only on the subject and not anywhere in the background. So like something large like a tree or a building could be blocking the sun from hitting portions of the photo, or the sun could be angled at the right position for it to hit the subject, but not the background. So like here with this Cooper's hawk, there's some oak trees blocking the sun from hitting most of the subject and most of the frame overall, except for this portion which kind of adds drama. Same thing as side lighting, but it can be more specific, like it lights up more specific parts of the photo. And then like here with this great egret at Coyote Hills, the water was still in shadow because it was reflecting from the hills in shadow, but the egret was in the sun, which made for a really cool frame. And then so front lighting is the most consistent form of lighting. If you have a photo with front lighting, you know it's not going to be bad. If you're photographing action, front lighting can often be best because it's not as risky as the other ones. And if you really want to take like a perfect photo of any cool behavior, front lighting can just portray that well. But on its own, front lighting can't really make a photo like the other forms can. Like these photos, they're all pretty interesting, but it's not because of the lighting. It's because of something else happening in the frame. Like here with the harriers, you have a cool behavior. Same thing here with the warbler and with this snowy egret. You have like the fish being gulped down. They all have something else that can turn them extraordinary, which front lighting by itself doesn't do. So next up we have behavior. Behavior is like it takes a lot of luck to photograph. Like sometimes you'll be out in the field hoping for something to happen, like maybe a heron to snatch a gopher or some eagles to dive down into the lake to catch a fish. But photographing behavior can often include lots of action, so you need to be prepared for the moment. There are many types of behavior that can create impactful photos, like mating rituals, predator-prey interactions, which is my personal favorite, and fighting between individuals. Additionally, many species have a special behavior relatively unique to their own species, like a black skimmer skimming, hummingbirds playing in their water droplets, or white-tailed kites hovering while they're looking for food. And personally, I don't really consider flight as behavior because all birds we have in California fly. It's not really something special compared to maybe a kite food exchange. Behavior photos that can do well in competitions usually evoke some sort of emotion in viewers, like the sorrow of a finch being eaten by a hawk or the kiss of an avocet pear. Those types of photos are much more unique and create much more emotion. So predator-prey interactions, my personal favorite. These are this probably has the most potential in all of wildlife photography because the amount of emotion viewers get from a dead animal in the frame is really unmatched. But these moments are really unpredictable. We don't know when the action really is going to happen. We don't know when the eagle is going to decide to plunge into the lake. So you need to be ready at all times. And when we're watching an animal hunt, whether it's a heron or a pelican soaring above a fish-filled lake, our settings need to be ready for action. So I always keep a high shutter speed and I'm always alert for any action happening. And when you have the rare opportunity to photograph an animal with its prey, I always try to make sure that the prey is visible and identifiable in the frame. So sometimes I see photos where maybe a fox is eating something bloody and gory, just like the guts of an animal. That obviously isn't very pleasant to see. So I try to photograph it when it's still like when the prey is identifiable and where you can still like feel emotional for it. Like here we have this gopher in a heron's mouth. So in the green box, you can really like feel bad for the gopher, or sorry, the vole. But and then in the red box, it's more mushed up, all wet. You can't really feel as bad as you do when its eyes open and it looks to be reaching out for help. And then I usually try to include the prey's eyes in the frame, especially because that's like the best way to evoke emotion in any photo. The eyes are like, if you don't have them in the photo, the chances of it being good is much, much less. And then same species interactions. These are mostly mating season rituals. So either like parent birds feeding their babies or a mating pair doing their mating ritual. So like the mating ritual of our local grebes is like no other, and the white-tailed kites we have at Ed Levin in the Arastradero Hills, those are all opportunities to capture more than just a portrait or a flight shot. Those types of shots like can actually amaze viewers. And then capturing these interactions are often much more predictable. Many species can give us ample time to prepare for this type of photo, like an avocet's water splashing ritual before they do the kiss, or the calls of kites before the male flies over to do a food transfer. And then in these types of situations, I typically try to optimally change my position before the action. So like with these kestrels, I saw the male flying over, so we moved a little bit and I got this nice front lit photo. And when I have more time to photograph a subject, I try to be creative with what I'm doing. Like maybe I've seen the absent mating ritual 10 times already that morning. I'll try to maybe capture it with the environment or try a different type of lighting in the frame. And then individual behavior, this doesn't really have as much potential as an interaction between multiple animals, like we've seen before. The emotional impact of a solitary bird just doesn't compare to like a mother's love for her babies. This is when we as photographers tend to go for portraits. Like I included, I've always seen maybe a woodpecker on a tree and gone for a simple photo like this, which again is pretty decent, but nothing incredible. But then, so here I was photographing this acorn woodpecker at Stanford University, and I could have just taken a portrait like this of it with its acorns, which is decent again, but I wanted to tell a story through the pictures I got. So I tried to show the urban life of these birds. So here we have like the columns of the Stanford hallways, and here we have here we have two of the woodpeckers in this like along the same columns. By the way, Stanford University is a great spot for wildlife photography. I don't see many photographers there at all, but there's a lot of raptors, coyotes, and a lot of songbirds in the spring, especially. And now the last topic, which is going to be backgrounds and foregrounds. So the last main factor of a unique wildlife photo is its surroundings. There's so many possibilities we have when we're photographing something with its environment. So I'm going to be going the most in depth about this topic. So we often strive for the perfect background. So like here with this golden eagle, we have a nice bouquet of the green hills. So normally we define this like as a blurred color in general, without any distractions like a building or another bird in the background. We really especially tend to go for photos where the background is green or yellow, and we avoid the sky as much as possible. However, backgrounds can be about much more than like the simple bouquet that you see here. You can tell so much about like the animal's habitat, the animal's just life. There's a lot of stories to be told by showing the animal's background. And there's obviously nothing wrong with the classic one-tone bokeh background, but those photos can be more easily replicated by others. the background is really like the best way for you guys to, for everyone, to create a unique photo. So framing is one of the most interesting ways to do this. It's definitely challenging and takes some luck, but it's also one of the best ways to emphasize like one portion of the photo. Framing can like naturally draw a viewer's eye. Like here you see with this coyote, the tail is like perfectly framing its eyes, and framing the eyes of the subject especially can be really interesting because again, eyes are the best way to show emotion in a photo. And here with this hawk, you can see the moon framing the hawk's body. It's just framing can be a great way to emphasize one part of the photo. And then another way that we can use our backgrounds is minimalism, which is a form of composition where the subject is really small in the frame and the details around it are minimum. We don't like here with this avocet in the water, we don't see much. It's just the blue sky reflecting in the water and then this avocet right here with a few ripples around it. And these photos can like convey loneliness, freedom, just there's a lot of specific emotions that you can see in minimalistic photos that you don't really see in other types of photos. And for minimalistic photos, you need to be constantly aware of the surroundings because even one other object in the frame can ruin the photo. These photos really only work when there's a lack of other distractions. So like with this avocet, I had to move around a lot to finally frame it with no other birds in the frame, with no like random leaves in the water or anything. Overall, you just need an empty scene to take a minimalistic photo. So my probably personal favorite way of using the background is to create a sense of size. So like here with this heron flying in front of the Teton Mountains in Wyoming, you can really see the size of the mountains compared to a bird we typically consider big, which is the blue heron. And a photo like of a small bird in front of a big mountain can show just how insignificant these little things can be. These pictures definitely impact viewers, like you see with this eagle here. There's just a lot of trees around it. The massive redwoods are just like uh way, way bigger than the little eagle, which we typically again consider to be big. So a wider perspective is pretty much the best way to use the background. We uh it's mostly necessary for most of the ideas I'm showing here, like framing, urban wildlife, and creating a sense of size. So I encourage everyone here to constantly be on the lookout for opportunities to frame the subject with its environment. And I'm always reminding myself of this too. Whenever I'm outside, I try to do this, and I'm not always the best at it, but just always reminding myself has resulted in scenes like this, where I could have just taken a portrait of the lazuli bunting, but instead I zoomed out and showed all the flowers around it. And the easiest way to tell a story using the background of the photo is to show its habitat. Whether like it's an oak forest or a rocky coastline, a background that displays habitat will pretty much always make for a strong image. Whenever I go outside personally, my biggest goal is to be able to frame my subject with its habitat. Those photos are the best way to tell a story because it's just there's so much to be told between your subject and its habitat. Here we see this golden eagle, which thrives in habitats like this oak savanna. There's a lot of rodents for it to hunt in these plains, and the oak trees are a great place for them to nest. And then here we have these small pelicans in the frame with the marsh at Coyote Hills. Just these types of photos can be really unique because of how few photographers try to go for them instead of more simple portraits. And as a result, photos like these have a better chance of winning photo contests because there's just less people shooting those types of photos. Finding patterns. A background with patterns is a really good way to draw the viewer's attention. Patterns that complement our subjects can be very, very effective in showing like a cool composition. Like here we have this I'm not sure what type of tree, but the bark of the tree and the woodpecker, they complement each other really well. You see a lot of texture on the bark, but then the red head of the woodpecker sticks out compared to everywhere else. And finding patterns in nature isn't really the hard part. We see those everywhere, really. But being able to combine those scenes with the subject can be really hard. So whenever I see an opportunity like that, I try to take as many photos as possible in hopes that one of them hopefully turns out good. So urban wildlife photography is a much newer way to photograph wildlife, but wildlife have become increasingly common in urban areas. Like maybe 2 months ago, I saw a coyote outside of my house for the first time. I'm seeing more and more opossums. I've seen raccoons. They're just becoming more common everywhere, and that applies to birds too. Like now, pretty much every urban park has some sort of raptor nesting in it. Red-tailed hawks, great horned owls, Cooper's hawks, everything. So we often try to frame subjects with wilder areas in the background, but here I like to show like a portion of the city in the background. Photos like these can like tell stories about how creatures have adapted to urbanization, and they can evoke emotion about the rapidly decreasing wilderness we have in our area and inspire conservation efforts. Even when I'm walking through a random street in San Francisco, there's a good chance that a hawk flies overhead or a coyote trots by. So opportunities for these are still expanding. There's a lot of photos that have not been taken yet of urban wildlife. Like here with this Cooper's hawk and a basketball hoop. I wasn't really expecting this at first, but it flew by and it landed on this hoop. And I thought this could be an interesting way to show how these hawks have adapted to using perches that we made. And the importance of contrast is one of the methods that can definitely make for a cool photo. So most of the methods I've talked about in this presentation include shooting wildlife with the subject small in the frame. But photos like those only really work when there's contrast between the background and the subject, because when the animal is so insignificant in the frame, you still want the viewers to be able to find it easily. So like here with this burrowing owl, if the colors were not so different, it would have been hard to find the subject in the frame. So yeah. And then with this blue scrub jay here, again, there's like it's a silhouette. And say these mountains were a little bit darker, it would have been much harder to see the J, and the photo wouldn't really have stood out as much. And camouflage is a very niche type of background to use, but it's really, really unique. So I barely ever find opportunities where I can shoot an animal with its background and it's blending in. Because these photos, if it's blending in too much, it's going to be hard for viewers to even see the animal. So I like to have one part of its body distinguish it from its surroundings. Like here with this great horned owl against a eucalyptus tree, its eyes are really sticking out compared to the tree bark. Um, yeah, and then with this short-eared owl, again, we have this bright colored wing sticking out from the rest of the background, which shows how well the animal is adapted to its surroundings, but we can still appreciate the owl in the frame. So now to finish it off, I want to analyze some of my favorite photos using the factors that we've talked about today. So for some reason or another, everyone has their own personal favorites, and these photos are some of mine. I group my photos into different groups based on how much I like them, and these photos are all in my top 150 photos ever. So this photo, I'm not sure how well everyone can see with how small the coyote is in the frame, but this one I took just a couple weeks ago, and it's one of my favorites ever because of how cool the patterns of the oak tree are in comparison to the small coyotes. So here we're using uh methods that we discussed earlier, the patterns of the oak tree, all the little like curves, all the little details in the tree, and creating a sense of size. So even though a coyote is something that definitely isn't very small, we have this oak tree completely dwarfing it. And I also turned it black and white just to emphasize more of the tree's texture instead of maybe the color of the grass, the color of the sky. And this photo of a long-eared owl. So this photo was taken back in 2021 when this owl migrated to Coyote Hills. And obviously there were a lot of photographers there. I'm not sure how many of you guys were there, but maybe 100 photographers on the on the biggest days there. And so this was a way for me to like separate my photos from everyone else. I showed the background of the owl with the marsh around it. You see the tule reeds in front of it and the trees where it roosted behind it. And then the sunrise lighting was also creating like a really pinkish color in the background. So this photo just had a little bit of everything, which is why I like really like it. So these photos here, this one on the left was taken at Stanford University, and I really like the pattern of the cactus, I think, of the cactus leaves just sticking out. It's like leading lines and all to this little fluffy hummingbird. It's a really big contrast compared to like the spiky leaves, and the lighting's also shining right on the hummingbird, which made for a cool effect in the photo. This photo, taken in San Jose, of the Red Fox family. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really see this opportunity at first. Like I wasn't trying to frame it with the lighting, but I just took as many photos as I could, and I came up with this photo where the lighting was really only framing the heads of the baby and the mom fox. So I thought this one was really cool and how it emphasized the action while like not really showing much else. And then this last photo was taken at Coyote Hills. This one, I was shocked to see how clear the San Francisco skyline was when I got there, and I realized that the sun was shining off of the, what is it? The Salesforce Tower. Yeah. And so I knew I wanted to frame that lighting with a duck or any of the birds there really. So this duck, this American Wigeon, just swam by, and I was able to frame it as it exactly passed the reflection of the sun hitting the Salesforce Tower. I think this is the last one. Yeah. So here we have another coyote photo, which is probably my favorite animal to photograph overall. And this was taken in Yellowstone. I really wanted to show the background when I first saw this coyote because there was like a really massive field behind it. And then there was the redwood forest, which really like combined two different things into one habitat. So I zoomed out as much as I could. This was taken at probably 200 millimeters, I think. And then the side lighting was also hitting the coyote really nicely. So it emphasized the coyote while also showing uh, the habitat that it lives in. This photo was taken really recently of the avocet at Bedwell Bayfront Park. And the sun was just setting, and I was able to frame the avocet with the setting sun's bouquet in the water. And I was able to get all the bouquet balls in the front while the avocet was silhouetted against the bright colored water. And then this last photo, which won me Wildlife Photographer of the Year, I couldn't believe it at first, but because this photo really wasn't one of my favorites ever before. But after it won, I took like a closer look at it and I realized, wow, this one's better than I thought originally. So this photo shows spotlighting on the subject, which again the oak trees were blocking the sun from hitting most of the subject, and it shows like a lot of impact because you have the behavior of the hawk eating the squirrel, and then you have the lighting emphasizing the right portions of the frame. And those two of the factors we discussed combined into one photo made for something really, really unique. Okay, so that's pretty much it. It's been really good presenting for all of you today, and it's such an honor to be able to show my photos to talented photographers like yourselves. For those of you who I don't personally know yet, I hope we meet up in the field someday, and feel free to ask any questions about the topics I discussed today or about me and my photos.
Thank you, Param. This was just absolutely stunning.
Yeah, thank you.
I so enjoyed the photos and the story and how you described them. So I would love for people to, comment. They have, I mean, I'm sure there's some questions, so please go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm going to start off with maybe. Oh, yeah, Mary says excellent presentation and photos. So
yeah,
yes,
thank you.
yes, seriously, what a nice job, and the clarity in your photos and the clarity in the story you have presented is just stunning.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can we go back to your, the favorite photos you showed of the coyote and the oak?
Oh yeah.
This is a bird photography group, but
Yeah.
this photo just caught my attention. I have not seen this one before, so this just caught my attention right away.
Yeah, thank you. This one, I really couldn't believe it because I've been trying to frame coyotes with their habitat for a long time, and I've never really been successful in
Oof.
doing that until this one opportunity where I was following a coyote at Stanford University, and
Okay.
in the hills around Stanford, and I lost it for a little bit as it went around a hill, but then it appeared again right next to this oak tree, so I couldn't believe it. It was like it was a perfect scene, so I just got this photo off the bat.
You're absolutely stunning. So you use your zoom lens for this?
Yeah, this was taken at around 300 millimeters, I think. I had
Okay.
to zoom out to really fit the whole tree in the frame.
Yeah, and nice job about converting it to black and white. So
Yeah,
that's
thank you.
definitely that's a stunner.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't really do black and white very often,
Mhm.
so yeah,
Trust me, that's one genre that you will really enjoy, especially for bird photography in black and white. There are some stunning photos out there.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the long eared, of course, is a favorite topic here. We had a couple of presenters talk about this. I know of the hundreds of photographers who are there in the field shooting this really rare owl. Uh, we had some really good luck.
Yeah, that was incredible. It just wasn't scared of us at all, and it was hunting out in the daylight every single day pretty much. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Any questions about the presentation, the story? Any tips for Parham? I'm really interested in hearing this group not just encourage people like him, but also maybe this is one place where I can pitch the idea. Um, you know, uh, Towards the end, Param, you said it'll be nice to see people in the field. I think
Yeah.
this is something that I would love to do as a group. Maybe even if just go out for a shoot together, or my favorite thing is to plan and say, okay, this is a kind of photography I want to do today. Maybe
Yeah.
achieve that, right? It's as simple as saying, I want to get a bird in flight, like a duck in flight, for example, and then you plan for that, right?
Yeah.
So, do you have favorite places that you visit for, or how do you plan your trip? Maybe that's a question to start first.
I have a list of places that I think are good for a photo. And I update it based on like sightings I see on social media, on eBird. And every weekend I get to go one place. Some weekends I can't. So yeah, I try to plan as much as I can to be able to maximize those weekends.
Okay.
Um, so like recently I've been going to Bedwell Bayfront Park a lot. That's where I got this photo of a hawk with its mouse. And that spot has a lot of raptors where I've been going to photograph lately. Yesterday I tried to go to the golf course in San Jose, where the red foxes are, and I got those foxes in their winter coats. But yeah,
Nice.
normally
Yeah.
every day I have an animal I want to photograph and I try to make it happen that weekend.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's nice to pre-plan a shot, right? And then go and shoot it.
Have it happen. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough though, right? Habitat and yeah, sometimes lighting helps, but sometimes you just cannot plan for action.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
fantastic.
photograph bobcats a lot too.
Um, Not lately really because I feel like most of the best places have been uh off this year. There haven't been as many bobcats, but I think it was 2021. In the winter of 2021, I got a lot of really good photos of bobcats. I was getting up close to them pretty much every time I tried to find them, and I had a lot of luck with them. And since then, I haven't really tried as much. I know Point Reyes has been good for them, but I can't go all the way up there because I live in the South Bay, and that's 2 hours away from us.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, you're still too young to drive too. That's right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Important point. Yeah,
But great presentation though.
yeah. Thank you.
I heard Sierra Vista this year was fantastic for bobcats.
Yeah, it's definitely been better this year, but
Yeah.
not as good as it was before still. And a
Oh,
lot of the
okay.
cats now have mange.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
terrible. Okay.
Point
Yes.
Reyes
Yeah.
is starting to get more crowded for bobcat hunting.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
boy.
definitely like once a Bobcat location gets out, it definitely has a lot of photographers there. And yeah, same thing happened to Sierra Vista. Now I feel like with all the photographers there, it's just not as good for Bobcats anymore.
Yeah. Sierra Vista was really happening even for golden eagles, right? So
Yeah,
that's got
that's
very
definitely
popular. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, superb. And can you speak a little bit about how you submitted photographs to these awards, right? Audubon is, especially the number of photos you can submit is very limited.
Yeah.
Did you have a strategy there? What did you think?
Well, I'm lucky because I'm youth, so I don't have to pay for photo submissions.
That's fine. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but normally, like I said, I have a list of photos that I think are some of my best. So every time I'm entering a contest, I take those photos, I take a look at the contest's past winners, and then I see which photos I think have the best chance at winning.
We, we lost you, Param.
So
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I thought you were going to say something, but so in terms of number of photos to submit to each contest, right? It's usually limited, and then
yeah,
you
for
go through a selection process on your own.
yeah, just
Okay,
look at the photos I have.
got it.
Normally I think some of them just have a better chance. Like this year, um, I'm submitting to Audubon right now, and like this photo of the widgeon, I'm submitting this photo of the hummingbird. Um, these two photos. Yeah,
Awesome. Hoping to see a lot more in your repertoire now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Hey, Parham, it's Amanda.
Hi, Amanda. Go ahead.
yeah.
I had a question actually about I think it's on the previous slide, the one with the spotlighting.
Oh, this.
Yeah, with that's it's an amazing shot.
Thank
I was wondering, like, I see a lot of shots like that. I mean, on social media, I know a lot of people do a lot of heavy editing to kind of get these dramatic looks, but I imagine a lot of that was the natural lighting. Like, how much of it was edited versus like how bring it out more versus like just natural lighting?
Oh yeah, so normally when I'm editing my photos, I have some limits on what I do. Like I'm not just gonna add something or remove something completely, but if I like have a dim catch light in an eye, for example, I'll brighten it. So here the lighting wasn't as strong as you see in this photo, but it definitely was there. It was just maybe a little bit dimmer, and so were the shadows. I brightened the whole picture overall, a decent amount. And then probably the biggest edit I made was probably brightening the squirrel's head. That wasn't as bright as it was before, and I wanted to create some contrast with the hawk's leg over there. But yeah, everything else was pretty much there before.
Nice. I mean, it looks super natural. So, I mean, you did a great job
Yeah,
in terms
thank
of
you.
selecting like which things to do.
Yeah, I saw
Cool.
your photos at Calera. How's the grapes there?
Oh yeah, the Grebes are awesome.
Were they?
Well, there's a lot of photographers there now too,
Oh,
because once a couple people post them on social media, then everybody
yeah,
goes over there. So, but yeah, I got tons of pictures
yeah.
from
I
that
saw
day.
that one rushing shot you had. That was really nice.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, they were really putting on a show.
I was there this morning, and there was
Oh,
only another photographer with me the whole day.
oh.
Nice.
It's
How are
good
the
to
grapes?
take a day off.
Yeah, I think the weather was a little like
Very shaky. Yeah, it was
unknown
drizzling
today.
and drizzling and yeah. But there's just one photographer, and that's it.
Nice.
But Param, the light. Sorry, reverting back to this photograph here, the lighting on this is spectacular. I looked at this photo. I don't know how many times right now, and when you had shown the original, and I had seen it on your Instagram too. This
Thank
is
you.
absolutely stunning. The
Thank you.
timing is this absolutely stunning. Yeah, and congratulations. This is a big win, right? This is the award in
Yeah.
this is the National Wildlife Award, correct?
National History Museum, or sorry, Natural History Museums.
Natural History Museum. Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah, this is my probably biggest win so far. I was really happy when I got this
Oh,
win.
yeah.
And I was shocked too because I really wasn't expecting it. I was super lucky. And it was a great experience to go up to London
Yeah.
in October. Yeah.
I was just going to ask you that story. In fact, that was going to be my second question if nobody else had.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, I don't know how many people here follow, and I would highly recommend looking up on YouTube also. The Natural History Museum has an annual award, which is a really big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations on that. This is a big one.
Yeah. It was really cool to go up there. They had a whole ceremony.
Yep.
They had my photo printed on the walls of the museum. It was, you should definitely submit if you can because if you win, it's a really, really cool experience to go up there.
Yeah. Excellent. I saw there was another comment by somebody. I don't know if they had a question.
So,
So I don't
oh
see
yeah, I see it.
question. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
How much
so
editing? Yeah.
yeah. So like I said, I have some limits on the edits I do. I'm not just gonna remove or add something that isn't there, but like most contest rules say, but I'm gonna do everything else other than that. I also won't blur anything. But yeah, I'll like sharpen, selectively brighten parts of the photo. Um, what else? I'll saturate to a limit. Um, yeah, that's DxO has a nice tool called micro contrast. That's probably my favorite thing to use for my photos. It's a great way to sharpen the photos, and also just remove some detail from the background to yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like most of these photos, that's pretty much all I did. Like with this burrowing owl, I darkened the rocks a little bit. And I turned up the temperature on the owl a little bit to make it contrast with the rocks.
Oh, interesting. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, the coyote with the oak tree just looks like a solid 3 feet by 6 feet or something print in somebody's office.
Yeah.
Spectacular. Yeah.
If I am gonna print a photo soon, it's definitely gonna be this one.
Yeah. Yep.
I love that photo. I every time I see a coyote near an oak tree, I like try to get something like that.
Oh,
but I've
wow.
not gotten that. That one's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It never comes out in my imagination like how it is in my imagination. But I saw this you put it up the other day, and I was just like, wow, that's the one. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, that's exactly what goes through my mind when I see like an opportunity like this. I'm always trying to get a photo like this, but it never really happens
Yep.
until this one day. It was just a perfect scene.
Beautiful.
It looks like you try not to get too close to the animal, like to crowd it and change its behavior.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, here in the Bay Area, a lot of the wildlife we have are more habituated to our presence. So with birds, I definitely don't do that. With mammals, I have gotten pretty close. Like with these foxes, they don't mind us at all. So I have gotten pretty close.
Yeah, I've seen them there too. They walk right up to you sometimes.
Yeah. And then with coyotes too, I've gotten pretty close. But like any of these photos, I can't find one where I think I might have accidentally chased it away or something like that. Because again, to like get behavioral photos, if you chase them away, you're not going to get that type of photo. So
You just get butt shots.
yeah, exactly.
There's a category I can win.
But yeah, normally I'm trying to not influence their behavior at all. Sometimes I'll accidentally do that where I haven't seen the animal yet. But yeah.
I know the owl that you're shooting here. It's the one in Shellbar.
And where?
There's one in Shellbar and there's one in Seal Point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, wait, what was the first one?
This one owl on Shellbar, which is also close to the San Mateo Bridge.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And there's one in the Seal Point.
Yeah, Seal Point has a lot of them. It's a good spot.
Yeah, this year we had four, if not five.
Yeah. I've seen eBird reports up to seven actually. But yeah.
Whoa, incredible.
Uh, do you take multiple shots of
Uh,
any, especially of birds, in order to get like the one that has the beautiful feathers uh, at different angles?
oh yeah, yeah, definitely for sure. A lot of the time I don't actually see what I'm getting at first. I'm just trying to get as many photos as I can in hopes that one of them turns out good. When I have more time with the subject, I'll try to more deliberately frame it with something else. But like with this burrowing owl here, I have to take a lot of photos because it's pretty dark by the time they come out. So I had to take a lot of photos at a slow shutter speed for one of them to turn out good.
Param, you're definitely producing magic. So
Thank you.
congratulations and kudos. Actually, the not just the awards, but your interest is very obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a really fun hobby. So
yep, definitely, definitely. All right. I am going to share these slides and actually the recording. So this will be on YouTube soon. So thank you again for your presentation. I'm really hoping to see you in the field one day and hopefully go out to shoot with you one day, actually.
you too. And thank you everyone for coming to this presentation. It's really, really nice to be able to actually show my photos to other people.
Yeah,
Just not on social media, but actually talk to them about the photos.
yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful
Thank you. That was
photos.
great.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
really nicely done, Param. Nicely done.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Yeah. Good night, everyone.
Right.